Welcome to Native America Calling. From Studio 49 in Albuquerque, I'm Harlan Macasito. People who live within a tribal culture are familiar with the term elder. It is fundamentally different than the term elderly. Have you ever wondered what it takes to be considered an elder within a tribal community? Age is often the first criteria that pops into someone's head and is the most common way to define an elder. Whether or not a person has grandchildren is another. But many recognized elders say it also requires you to walk your talk, show kindness, display grace, and behave responsibly toward your community. Join us as we ask what makes an elder, right after National Native News. This is the Thursday, April 24th edition of Native America Calling. I'm your host, Harlan Macasito. Hopefully, we've all been lucky enough to know a true elder sometime in our lives, someone that we can turn to for teaching, for guidance, and leadership. You know, elders are supposed to be the guardians of the future, safeguards against cultural loss, and wellsprings of wisdom. So how does a person become an elder? Is it age only? Do you turn 55 and get senior pricing at the buffet and instant recognition as an elder? Is it whether or not you have grandkids? If so, what if you're a 30-something-year-old grandparent? Are you still considered an elder? Now, some recognized elders have said that we're all elders, or elders in training, and also that a true elder has to walk their talk. Now, what happens if an elder is involved in something that hurts their community, or if they refuse to share what they know, especially when it comes to cultural practices and cultural knowledge? Are they still a true elder? All right, we've got lots of questions for you today. We're asking, what makes an elder an elder? You know, how does one receive that recognition? What characteristics and traits does one have to display to be called an elder? And what about age? How does that play into a person being given the title of elder? I mean, does one simply have to show maturity, have a gentle soul, and carry him or herself gracefully to be called an elder? I mean, in that case, you know, could you be, like I said, a 30-something-year-old grandparent and be considered an elder in your tribe? Or is it the combination of age and wisdom that make you an elder? All right? Give us a call if you want to tune in, or if you want to join in today. Give us a call. The number is 1-800-99-NATIVE. That's 1-800-996-2848. We're asking, what makes an elder an elder? All right, if you want to join in, give us a call. 1-800-996-2848 is the number to call. And we'd like to hear from all the tribes out there. And even if you're, non-native, what about your family background or your community or cultural background? Feel free to join us. The number is 1-800-99-NATIVE. That's 1-800-996-2848. And right now, joining us from her home in Grants Pass, Oregon, is Agnes Baker-Pilgrim, and she is an elder and is the oldest living member of her tribe, the Takelma Indians. And she is a member of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians in Oregon, and she is also the chairwoman of the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. She's a mentor at Southern Oregon University and keeper of the Sacred Salmon Ceremony. Welcome to Native America Calling, Agnes.
Thank you, Harlan.
Good to have you with us. Yeah.
To be on here and be a voice for the voiceless. Being one of the international grandmothers and tour the world, I am the voice for the voiceless, because I always say that the animal kingdom and the water, the air, the earth, all of it doesn't have a voice. So I think the Creator gave us a whisper and put a little volume to it to be this voice for all people, to be this voice for our universe.
Yeah, I want to talk more about the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. But first of all, Agnes, within your cultural upbringing, what makes an elder an elder?
Well, I'm very proud to say, too, that my tribe, the Confederated Tribes of Siletz, in northern part of the state here, named me a living legend from my tribe. And I was very, very overwhelmed. But in order to get something like that, we have to walk our talk. We have to be in the middle of the road. like I say, before we even were 5 years old, we knew when we said something wrong, and we knew when we did something wrong, and here we are as elders, we still know that. And I try not to harm or hurt anybody. I think every parent, every grandmother needs to have kindness and a loving nature, and be generous, and you don't have to born a child to love it. And I teach that all over the world, that to have that loving nature. I have so many grandchildren and of my biological own, and I have many adopted ones, and I love them very, very much. And I think every elder, every person, just being an elder, that one of the greatest things you can do for yourself is be active. Not to be sitting around waiting for the big D to catch up with you. And I am going to be 84 here pretty soon, and I'm very active. I mean, I teach a school. In fact, I just taught one yesterday, and of our culture, our history. I teach about our history of our native people here in where I grew up in Oregon, because I am an elder. I am a leader, and in order to be an elder and a leader, you have to really be an honest person, and I am a spiritual leader of my tribe also. I am a carrier of the feathers. In order to carry my feathers, I truly have to walk my talk.
Well, and, Agnes, let me ask you this. What responsibilities come with being given the title of a tribal elder? I mean, you mentioned, having that gentle, nurturing soul, but also, what other responsibilities do you have?
Well, I think being kind to any child or anybody's child, kindness is one of the things, I used to tell my kids kindness, peace, joy, contentment, all of that is everybody's inside job. And I think when you get to be an elder, I think you really have to be a gentle, kind, loving person, because, I feel like when you get to be my age, you got one foot in the other world. And every day when you wake up, just to take a breath and to open your eyes and know you got one more day. I think that you have to be considerate of that precious time and to fill it from sun up to sundown to the best of your ability for your life, as well as to walk your talk in front of your tribe, your community, your children. I always say, if you want to know how a grandmother is, live with them, and you'll know whether they are a good, kind, generous, kind grandmother.
Yeah. Are elders obligated to teach and to share what they know? Is that part of it?
Yes, I think so. I think everything, I'm alumni from Southern Oregon University, and I think that learning that you learn even in schools and colleges has to come back out. It profits you not to keep it inside. I teach culture all over this state of Oregon, outside of the state of Oregon, all over the world. I teach culture. I teach spirituality. Spirituality is in all things. And many people that are elders don't realize that it is in all things. I dress in my regalia. I give thanks to my buckskin, because the four-legged gave up its skin to give me a beautiful dress. So when I got it on, I thanked that deer for giving up its coat for me. And being respectful of just being honored just for being, to take up this little spot in this universe, and to be able to become an elder. I teach this. My kids are elders now, and it just warms my heart to know that more and more women, elders, and men are speaking out and teaching and talking to their children. I think that's one of the greatest gifts as an elder, is to be able to communicate with those that are young, because they are elders in training, and it's up to us as elders to teach them that.
How many children do you have, Agnes?
I had 3 sons and 3 daughters, and I lost my oldest son. He would be 64 this year in July. And I got 3 daughters.
And how many grandchildren?
I have 18, 27 greats, and 1 great.
Wow. Wow. 5 generations.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just speaking about it makes me feel so humble that the Creator has let me live to have them. And so all my kids and from my oldest son down, they were all traditional, and they all danced, they all dressed, they made their regalia, they bead, they do a lot of things, and they're pretty well known around here. My children.
Now
with my salmon ceremony that I do, this will be 15 years, and my daughter. My middle daughter and my youngest daughter have taken over my job as a cook because my husband passed away. I'm a widow, and so I'm getting where I can't walk around the fire, and so my girls do it, and they're elders, and I'm very proud of what they do. And to be able to walk before them and to know that they know that I love them very much. And how they're walking in these footsteps to carry on when I go to the other world.
Now, Agnes, you mentioned that you lost your oldest son, and that unfortunately is something that a lot of tribal communities are witnessing. Is the men passing away at early ages, or even before the women a lot of times. And are we losing out with the numbers of men who don't make it? Into their or don't get to become elders?
Oh no! Well, my youngest son was 51 when he got hit by a motorhome and drug underneath, and so they're in a good place. It's another thing that I grieved for 1 year, and then I did my public washing of the tears, and so I don't cry for them anymore. And because I know that I too will join them. But so with my 3 sons, and I have 1 son left. He's 63 now, and my youngest daughter is 55, and so they've come a long way themselves, and I'm proud that they too are learning to walk their talk, and I think that you gain that respect when you walk your talk. That means you speak truth to self. If you got truth in your heart, then you speak truth to anybody. And so you don't have to go around and apologize. And when I started my spiritual path when my children were young, I apologized to them because I said I have made my mistakes because there wasn't such a thing as parent school. And so we all make our mistakes. And so I apologized to them and told them they had to tell me off or beat me up to do it while I'm above grass. And but anyway, I have a good relationship with my children and their children and their children's children.
Yeah.
And I really am proud that the Creator allowed me to live this long to be able to say that.
Well, let me give out the phone number right now to our listeners out there, Agnes, and let's invite them in today. We're celebrating our elders in our tribal communities and elsewhere, and we're asking what makes an elder an elder. And in your tribal community, is there a certain protocol for recognizing elders, or when the community recognizes someone who has become an elder? Perhaps you have a story about an elder that you'd like to recognize that might have had a impact on your life and how you treat people and what you strive to become in your golden years. And the other question is, are there some people who sort of refuse to accept the title of elder because they don't feel like they're worthy? I don't know if that has happened, but I know some people that I know, they don't consider themselves an elder, not because they don't want to acknowledge their age, but because they may have known some elders, from their younger years, and they don't really consider themselves to be an elder because they looked up to that person so much that they don't see those same traits in themselves. But we're asking, what makes an elder an elder? Give us a call today if you want to join in. The number is 1-800-99-NATIVE. That's 1-800-996-2848. And again, if you want to recognize an elder who has played a big part in your life, give us a call right now. We'll take your call. We'll get you on the air here in just a minute. The number is 1-800-99-NATIVE. That's 1-800-996-2848. And, is it just age? Is it age and wisdom? What traits and characteristics does a person have to display to be called an elder? Give us a call, 1-800-99-NATIVE. That's 1-800-996-2848. Phone lines are open. Let's get them ringing. And we have with us on the phone line from Grants Pass, Oregon, we have with us Agnes Baker-Pilgrim, and she's an elder. She's the oldest living member of her tribe. I think she's going to be 84 in September. And she's a member of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz, and she's also the chairwoman of the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers and keeper of the Sacred Salmon Ceremony. And Agnes, I know you're a practitioner of your traditional ways and that you have a deep faith in the power of prayer. But but let me ask you this. Are those requirements to be an elder?
They're not a requirement, but I think but being an elder that you got to learn to be grateful, and when you're grateful, then I think that encompasses being a little spiritual, I believe, of being thankful and giving, knowing that there's a power higher in your head. That in order to, and I in my tribe, the stories and the legends handed down was that, that they left us this gift of prayer, and so to be thankful for all things. And as I said here right now, I'm very thankful to be able to be on your radio show and my voice going out there. That people, being an elder is not for wimps. You got to be tough.
Wimps or fools.
When something hits you, you got to be like that little bouncing ball. You get down, you get back up. And that power is in what they call the brain. If you program that in your head that you want to get back up, you'll get back up. There's that compasses to be thankful, and that's part of the healing medicine is how you think and how you want your brain to help you to heal. And so even to be an elder, I think that you have to program that also in your head, that you want to thank the Creator to let you to become an elder, to become a grandparent, and to live and to know that you got little children that you would want to help and be with. So... And I have my grandkids in and out of here all the time. And that's another thing. I keep little stuff around here for them to eat and good things, sugar-free stuff and things for them in the refrigerator that are good for them. And when they run out of stuff at home, they can come in here. That's another thing. I have patience with them. And because they're just little people. And another thing I'd like to say is that it's not us adults that own the world, it's the children. And so we all as grandparents, we have a job to protect our earth and try to keep the beauty we walk in so that our fifth-generation children can see the beauty that we see here today. And that's one of our legacies, to be able to take care of our earth and praying for the Creator to help us to get back and do in moderation and balance. It's part of the wisdom of the grandparents.
Yeah, I'm lucky, Agnes, that I had plenty of grandparents, grandmas and grandpas, that helped me. And when I was growing up, and your story, that I remember I used to be able to, go across the street and go in the house and look in the fridge, look for something to eat, and I had 2 or 3 houses I could go to. So that was, that's it. You hear that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And I'm when I think back about my childhood, I still feel fortunate, to have elders who were there, who helped me out and helped me get through life as a young person. I'm going to open up these phone lines right now. I want to bring in Joseph, who's in Bad River, Wisconsin, listening on WOJB. You're on the air, Joseph.
Oh, good afternoon. You got a great show today.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure listening to Agnes.
Yeah, she's quite a woman. Joseph, what's your comment?
Well, I'm a non-native. I'm a full-blooded Italian, but I follow the Red Path and have for quite some time. I in the Native community around Bad River where I live, people consider me an elder. And when I go to different things like a powwow celebration and they have a feast, they tell the elders to go up and eat first. But I always hang back, and I kind of let someone else tell me I'm an elder. I don't put that tag on myself. I let someone else decide if I'm an elder or not.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to give yourself that title, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I just I feel that that's the way that I've prayed about it and asked for that distinction. If it was to come to me, that somebody else give it to me. And then sometimes I'm not an elder. Sometimes I'm not the person who is asked questions or talked to. It's somebody else. And that's how I learned. I learned from the elders. The elders taught me to be proud of who I am. So it's a continual process, I think, Joseph.
That gratitude is really an essential ingredient of being an elder. You know, of any people. You know,
and the humility as well.
Pardon?
The humility.
Yeah,
seems
the
like.
humbleness. Yes, and it's the same way with my salmon ceremony. People said, if this is a salmon ceremony, why are all these people here? I said, well, Native First Nation people are the only ones who eat fish. You know, we all got to learn to come together in a good way and blend and harmonize and be grateful just for being of any color, of any sect.
Yeah. Okay, Joseph, thanks for your call from Bad River.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate you calling in. Let's bring in Carol, who's in Anchorage, Alaska, listening on KNBA. You're on the air, Carol.
Hello. Thank you for taking this call, and it's really wonderful listening to Agnes. It makes me feel good all over. What I wanted to do today was I wanted to recognize an elder we have here. Her name is Maple Pike. She's 88 years old, and I've seen her usher in at least 30 years of beadworkers at the elementary schools here in Anchorage and maybe elsewhere. And I recently received some lessons from her and found her to be very, very kind, very gracious, very patient, and very encouraging. So that's what I wanted to say was I really wanted to thank her and other people like her who get up and go to the elementary schools and teach our children such things as beadwork, skin sewing, and being there.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Carol, thanks for your call.
Thank you, Carol. How nice.
Yeah. We need to take a little break here, Agnes. And then when we come back, we're going to take more phone calls, and I got a few more questions for you. And, I want to recognize one of my elders, my grandma Susan Fremont from the Omaha tribe up in Macy, Nebraska. I know she has a lot to do with that community, continuing on. We're talking about what makes an elder, 1-800-99-NATIVE. That's 1-800-996-2848. We'll be back. There is a growing movement to forge traditional Native medicinal practices with modern Western science and technology. But are healthcare providers and medical students actually buying into this movement? What is the relationship between the two philosophies? I'm Harlan Mikasito. Join us as we talk about cross-cultural medicine on the next Native America Calling.
And I showed the clouds how to cover up a clear blue sky. And the tears that I cried for that woman are gonna flood you, big river. And I'm gonna sit right here until I die. I met her accidentally in St. Paul, Minnesota. And it tore me up every time I heard her drawl, southern drawl. Then I heard my dream was back downstream, cavorting in Davenport. And I followed you, big river, when you called. Then you took me to St. Louis later on down the river. A freighter said she's been here, but she's gone, boy, she's gone.
The Alaska Native Heritage Center in Anchorage is a premier cultural center where all people can come to expand their understanding of Alaska's First People. Experience Alaska Native culture firsthand through storytelling, authentic song and dance, artist demonstrations, and more. Join us for opening day on Sunday, May 11th, or any day of the week this summer to celebrate our new theme, Changing Lives, Living Values. For more information, call 907-330-8000 or visit www.alaskanative.net.
Welcome back to Native America Calling. I'm your host, Harlan Macasato. I'd like to say hello to our listeners tuned in to KNNB in White River, Arizona, KGVA in Fort Belknap, Montana, and KYNR in Toppenish, Washington. And again, I'd like to mention that our first National Native Art Auction held Saturday night was a big success, and we want to thank all the artists and businesses that donated art and services and all the people who came to support our national programs. We'd like to especially thank our benefactor sponsors, Chugach Management Services, JV, from Albuquerque, and the Siri Foundation from Anchorage, Alaska. And our major sponsors were Indian Pueblos Marketing, Inc., and Aurora Publishing, both from Albuquerque, and the Indian Country Today newspaper out of Canastota, New York. And we'd also like to thank the following businesses and artists who generously donated art to the live auction, including Shane Hendren from the Navajo Nation, Heather Nija Hannock, Athabascan, Writes Indian Art by artist Roy Talahathawa, Hopi, Gretchen Sagan, Inupiaq, Kishi, the Zuni Connection by artist Alan Lassalou from the Zuni Pueblo, Donna Shantz of Yupik, and Stetson Law Offices by artists Stan Natchez, Shoshone, and Paiute. Also Chuna McIntyre, Yupik, Greg Anaya, Isleta, Laguna Pueblo, Lawrence Avacana, Inupiaq, Natushi Fine Arts by artist Kelly Byers, Choctaw, and John Oscar, Yupik. We'd like to thank all of you for making our art auction a success. Today we're asking what makes an elder, and how does one receive that recognition of being an elder within your tribal community? Or perhaps you would like to share a story about an elder who has had a big impact in your life, or who was someone who played a big role in your upbringing. And also, what about age? Is it just about age, or what are some of the other characteristics that one has to display to be called an elder? And, what about being a grandparent? How does that play into being an elder? Give us a call if you want to join in. Our toll-free number is 1-800-99-NATIVE. That's 1-800-996-2848. And if you get a busy signal, keep trying. We're going to open up these phone lines here in just a few minutes, and we'll clear some lines. And, just a hint, once we hang up on somebody, that's the best time to call right there, 1-800-99-NATIVE. That's 1-800-996-2848. With us on the phone line from Grants Pass, Oregon, is Agnes Baker-Pilgrim, and she's from the Confederated Tribes of Siletz. She's also a member of the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, and she's also the keeper of the Sacred Salmon Ceremony. Welcome back to Native America Calling, Agnes.
Thank you.
Let's see. I wanted to ask, as an elder, how often are you called upon to share stories or to give advice, Agnes?
Oh, it's on the phone. It's constant. People come here to my house, or I teach in the schools and universities all over. I got to go up and teach at Eugene, Oregon. I got to leave tomorrow. I've been up there as a speaker, as a grandmother speaker at Eugene about 3 weeks ago. So I'm all over the place speaking of being an elder, and I really am. It really humbles me to be able to talk to people about becoming elders. Mm-hmm. And what it constitutes, and the obligations, and what is expected of you to be an elder. Mm-hmm. And so it's just not a name only, it's not just an age only, but it takes in all those things. I always say you got to speak from your heart, because mm-hmm. Your heart bypasses all faults, and that to be able to do that, mm-hmm. To know that you have all this knowledge since you were young, and it needs to come back out. And for years and most of my life, I've been sitting on our tribe's culture committee, keeping up with the traditions, and I think that is an important aspect of elders too, is to encourage our youth to be able to follow our culture and traditions.
Well, what is the protocol there with the Siletz people, and also I believe specifically your tribe is the Takelma?
Yeah, well, there's no longer a Takelma tribe.
Mm-hmm.
There were 5 Trail of Tears out of southern Oregon,
right.
and they walked north and created the Confederated Tribes of Siletz and the Confederated Tribes of Grand Round. And because they're all these tribes, when they were marched out of here, they became about 27 bands in the Siletz tribe. And I am now the oldest living that I know of the Takelma Indians that once lived in this valley for thousands and thousands of years down here in southern Oregon.
Well, what is the protocol then for your tribe and for your tribal people to approach an elder, like seeking a solution to a problem, or maybe they need some advice, or maybe they're seeking prayer or ceremony?
Well, whatever it is, I think that most generally they compensate. They take tobacco or some offering to that elder before that they even ask them what they want.
Yeah.
That's the humble way, and that's the best way to approaching an elder. If you're going to want them to be a speaker, or you're going to want them to answer some questions, and that's the way they do it down here.
Yeah, that's the way I was taught as well.
Right.
Okay.
And I grew up with my elders too, and what a precious thing that was as I reflect back at this moment, to being with them and learning from them. It was very special in my heart, and this, knowing about the sweat lodge and learning about eagle feathers and how they taught me about those things, how they taught me about the feather dancing and what the protocol was for these things. And because every tribe has the protocol, and to learn those from my elders, and as well as the making of regalia and stuff handed down. Now my children are they do all their own stuff. My daughters and my son now, and those that my 2 sons went on, they were all traditional kids, and I'm pretty proud to say that.
Let me take some more phone calls right now. We've got calls coming in, and if you want to join in, if we're talking about elders, we're celebrating our elders in our tribal communities, and we're also asking, what makes an elder an elder. So if you want to join in, give us a call. 1-800-996-2848 is the number. Let's bring in David from Old Town, Idaho, listening on KISU. You're on the air, David.
Thank you. The question is that is not being an elder the biggest part ritual and ceremony? That it's, you cut me off if I get going too much here, but every stage in life has, physiologically we go through things, and we go through things by experience too, but there are changes in life that we go through that we can't do anything about, like growing up and learning to be, walk, learning to run, learning to be a teenager, learning to be a mom, dad, learning to grow old, and each stage, physiological stage, seems to bring a different view, perhaps a better view in a lot of ways. And a lot of times I think that being an elder just seems to me to be at a point where somebody gets that wisdom and confirmed by ritual and ceremony. Sometimes people, can be older, but they may not have all the qualities necessary to carry the wisdom for one reason or another, not necessarily their own fault. But, I just think that, becoming an elder is a sacred thing. And it requires that, first of all, most importantly, is confirmation through ceremony and ritual. Okay. Thank you.
All right, David, thanks for your call.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Agnes, did the Siletz tribe have any sort of formal ceremony, or did at some point people start calling upon you?
No, they're pretty traditional, my tribe. They're pretty well known here in the West Coast, and they're pretty much involved in culture and tradition, which I'm happy to say. Even when we were terminated way back there, and this is 30 years now that we've been reinstated as a tribe, and so they've been pretty strong on culture and tradition, and all of that, and the protocol that goes with it. So yeah, we have a really large elders group, and that's always doing some sort of teaching all along over the years.
Okay. All right, I want to take some more phone calls right now. Let's bring in Bonnie, who's in Hayward, Wisconsin, listening on WOJB. Hello, Bonnie.
Hi. I just wanted to call in and speak about the elder that's really touched my life and my family in the past couple of years since we've met her, Rose Painter from Hayward, Shangweshi. She's not only an excellent elder, she is my son's namesake, my son's namer, and she goes out of her way to teach us the ways of the culture and makes sure that we understand all the things that we're doing when we're at an event.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just an excellent, excellent lady, and she will go out of her way to teach people the culture and the ways, and she's an excellent teacher.
And what was her name again, Bonnie?
Rose Painter. Her Ojibwe name is Zhangweshi.
All right. Bonnie, thanks for your call.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, I want to give out the phone number again. If you're, waiting around, don't wait any longer, because we need you to call right now, 1-800-996-2848. That's 1-800-998. We've got a couple of lines open here. We're talking about elders and, what it takes to be an elder. And maybe we've got some elders out there who want to share some of their stories, or perhaps, there's an elder that you want to thank for playing a positive role in your life. Give us a call right now. Don't wait. 1-800-996-2848. That's 1-800-998. If you wait too long, you might not get in on the program. So give us a call right now. On the phone line with us is Agnes Baker-Pilgrim, and she's out in Oregon on the phone line. And again, she is the chairwoman of the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, and she's also keeper of the Sacred Salmon Ceremony. And before I'm going to ask about the Council of Indigenous Grandmothers, Agnes, and also about the Salmon Ceremony, but I want to take a call right now from Kodike here in Socorro, New Mexico, listening on KUNM. You're on the air.
Hello, Mr. Costello. I have a comment about elders, if you will, please.
Uh-huh.
I'm an elder, and I think that the elders of the Native Americans are making a mistake toward our children and their grandchildren by not writing down, instead of just telling stories, but writing down things that they remember of when they were growing up, about how the United States was formed and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I wonder why we don't see as many stories written down by our elders that shows our young people how things were before they learned about the so-called how do I say this, modern world situation.
Okay. All right. That's a good question, Kodak. Thanks for your call.
You're
From Socorro, thanks for tuning in on KUNM. And Agnes, that's something that I think a lot of tribal members and tribal communities, have concern about is, do we pass on the oral tradition? Do we write it down? Do we videotape our elders? how do we ensure that the knowledge is passed on? Because I know my mom is getting she's an elder within our tribe. She's about 73 now, and I've been talking to her about Mom, you should she'll tell some stories, and I say, Mom, you should you should write these stories down, or maybe you should maybe we should interview her, just to make sure that the stories are kept alive.
Well, as I speak here, there's photographers here that are putting a video together of my life and the things that I do. Many of us in our tribe have been filmed with the things that we do and the stories that we have been told, and the stories that really needs to be put down and kept into perpetuity for tribal people as well as community at large. And this is why that us 13 international grandmothers come together. We're the voice for the world, and we came together October 11, 2004, and we have a book out, and it's one of the top 10 in the nation now. That it's Grandmothers Counsel the World, and we have a movie coming out too about our coming together, all of us 13 from all over the globe. And so we're kind of leaving our tracks, not just for my tribe, for all of the indigenous people from around the world, that we're speaking out for about our medicines, about our earth, about peace, about treating elders and helping elders and children, trying to stop child abuse, women abuse. We're doing a lot of things. And I'm very proud to be a part of the 13 International Grandmothers. If anybody out there wants to know about them, it's just www.grandmotherscouncil.com.
Okay. I'll be looking forward to that documentary.
Right.
Yeah, that ought to be something.
We got the first act. The producer in New York, Carol Hart from Laughing Willow Foundation, sent us one CD already with the first act on it, and the color is great. The vividness, the story part is all very, very well done.
Okay. All right. We'll be looking forward to that. And the website is grandmotherscouncil.com.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we mentioned you're the keeper of the sacred salmon ceremony, Agnes, and and that you revived that, I'm told. And
yes, in 1994.
How hard was that to revive and to get people to come together?
It wasn't hard. I did my research and found out how it was conducted by the old ones, because they believed that salmon looked like us and they lived in beautiful cities below the ocean floor, and that they chose to come back in the form of the shape of the salmon to come back and feed us two-leggeds every spring and every fall. And so I thought that would be a good thing to restore it, because many people all over the world now, as I journey, making garbage dumps out of our rivers and streams. They don't realize there's life in that water. That's one of the reasons why prompted me to do the salmon ceremony, to let people know that on these rivers here in southern Oregon, let's keep them pristine. Water is precious. Water can hear. Water listens. We're all water babies, us two-legged people all over the world. So water is precious. Without water, all life dies. And so we need to be more cautious of what we're doing as far as pollution is concerned to our rivers and streams.
Yeah. Phone lines are full, Agnes. Let's bring in Barbara, who's in Angel Fire, New Mexico, listening on KUNM. Hello, Barbara.
Hi. I would like to recognize the Shenandoah family of the Oneida Nation. Several of them are elders. And Joanne Shenandoah sings, and she's made a number of recordings. And the recordings that she makes incorporate some of the Iroquois culture. And I'm like sixth generation of Seneca, and so I'm not allowed to be on the rolls. But to me, it's very, very interesting. And one of the things that we don't hear about too much on KUNM is the Eastern tribes. So I would like to acknowledge the Shenandoah family and thank them for introducing me to their culture.
Okay. All right. Maybe Joanne's tuning in right now because I think she's going to be performing at the Gathering of Nations this weekend. So anyway, Barbara, thanks for your call. Good to hear a listener and a caller from Angel Fire.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to let's see, Joanne, who's in Yakima, Washington, listening on KYNR. Hello, Joanne.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to share that my elders in my family. I grew up and my mother passed away when I was just a real young girl, and I was raised by elders. And some of the most important factors that I learned from them was hard work, that it will get you places. And you didn't have to rely on anybody for nothing as long as you preserved your own foods and you got your own wood for the fireplace. And my aunt was elderly that took me into the hills to gather foods, and she taught me about trees, and the streams, the songs that they sing, and how you could meditate. I didn't know, she didn't use the word meditate, but you listen to them and you can pray at the same time. And the stories around campfire was real educational. And the medicines that she gathered, we never had to go to the doctor. And I just wanted to share these things. I am a grandmother now, raising 2 grandchildren, and I just love them to death. I'm a better grandmother than I was a mother, but, I'm beginning to incorporate a lot of the teachings that I received into these 2 young people.
Good. Thank you, Joanne.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go to Blaine. No. Yeah, is it Blaine? Blaine in Gallup, New Mexico, listening on KGLP. Hello there, Blaine.
Yeah, I'd like to just, you were asking the question of what makes an elder.
Mm-hmm.
And, and you were kind of going along the idea that it was, under a title. And I kind of don't think it comes from that. I think it comes from a certain suffering experience that, has hurt our own particular soul for the benefit of another person. And I see that as a sacrifice because you aren't really willing to do something for somebody else, and that causes you to suffer. And I think that you become an individual at that point. You find your place within the universe, and you learn to open your mind. And, people talk about tradition and stuff. The tradition is when you realize that nature reveals itself to you. You have your little prayers, your meditation, but when you really out there, you exhaust your body, your mind goes into a different consciousness, and you just learn to feel all the energies around you. And I think that's an elder.
Yeah, I agree with you. Blaine.
Yeah.
Thank you for your call. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. Let's bring in Mark, who's in Oak Springs, Arizona, listening on KGLP. You're on the air, Mark.
Hello, this is Mark. Mm-hmm. Yeah, calling from Oak Springs. I have to agree with a lot of things everyone's saying. From what I've met a few, or actually a lot, in my weaving business, and that's the most, the biggest information is when I go around selling my looms and my tools, and I hear stories from everybody. These people, they have information, they have experiences, and one thing that I really like about elders, they're straight shooters. They just tell the truth, right there on the spot, and that's what I really like about whatever it may be. They just tell it the way it is. At times, they're pretty sensitive to an individual's needs. Whether he or she has problems with family, with themselves, drugs, whatnot. They sense that right there, right off the bat, and they're sensitive to the issues rather than being straight with them. But they're able to get the information to the individual. So, but elders, they're great. They have life experiences, ceremonial experiences. Maybe some of them got educated. We need role models. So these are like the people that the younger folks look up to. Like my father, he was just a dirt poor sheep herder, and he went on to become a lawyer. He graduated from a prestigious law school. He took on oil companies and everything. And I'm like, if my father can do that, from a background of having no shoes, well, shoot, I can do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, and the elder, to me, when I used to live down in Phoenix, there weren't a lot of Native Americans. I looked at anybody, whether it didn't matter their tribe, race, ethnicity, religion, because everyone, they all kind of have a similar way of living in a way. When it comes to ceremonial culture, maybe, there's differences, or maybe a lot of differences. But when you just want to know, like, what's going on in my life, they'll give you that information. They'll share
Mark,
information
thanks for your call.
Yeah.
From Oak Springs, Arizona, let's bring in Carl from Buffalo Basin, Idaho, listening on KISU.
Hello, Harlan.
Hello, Carl. We just got a little bit of time.
I'm 53, and my nephews and nieces always, stress to read the Book of Proverbs, because, you don't have to be 90 years old to have wisdom and understanding. And, I always say, read that book. You stay out of trouble and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. The good book.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Robert.
Carl, thanks for your call.
Yeah.
Good to hear from you today. And Agnes, we're getting near the end of our program, and I wanted to save a little bit of time here for some final comments from you.
Okay, I think every tribal people, or any people, doesn't have to be tribal people, but they need to consult with their elders, and bring them into, because these elders have a lot of knowledge over the years, and I think that especially tribal people should consult with elders, tribal councils, because their elders are precious. They are the carriers of wisdom keepers, and they need to know that they're still needed, and their knowledge is still there, and their wisdom is still there and needs to be tapped into, and they need to be used for those reasons. Mm-hmm. And that's being respectful. That's the protocol of our people, And I think that being an elder is a precious time in your life. I learned from my grandmother. I learned when my grandfather was the chief of our tribe. That my grandmother took over then when he died. And the things she taught me, and how to behave, how to dress, and these sort of things, because my mother was bedridden when I was a little girl, and I lost her when I was a young child, about 12 or 13 years old.
Agnes, unfortunately we're out of time today.
Well, I hope people are listening out there and be that voice and
thank you so much for being with us today, Agnes Baker-Pilgrim. We'll be back tomorrow.
Native America Calling is produced at KUNM in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Funding is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the Ford Foundation, with additional support from the University of New Mexico. Music is provided by Brent Michael Davids. Native America Calling is a production of Quantic Broadcast Corporation, a Native nonprofit media organization located in Anchorage, Alaska. Visit us at nativeamericacalling.com.
Native Voice One, the Native American radio service.